Hey everybody, welcome to Beer City Board Games. I'm Clay. Welcome to the channel. How was everybody's weekend? Here in the United States, we're just coming off of a long weekend for Labor Day, and we actually had the opportunity to go to Grand Con, which was fantastic this year. We had a lot of fun. Grand Con is our local convention, so those of you who may have been following the channel for a little while probably know that earlier this year we also went to Origins in Columbus, Ohio, and then Gen Con in Indianapolis. Grand Con is our local gaming convention here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hey, Selfish. Hey, Carl. How's it going, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, I thought Grand Con this year was really good. They held it in a different space than they normally do. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Welcome in, everybody. Doing okay over there? Good to hear. How was your weekend? Did everybody have a good long weekend? Those of us in the States, at least. Yeah, I thought the space for Grand Con this year was really good. It seemed like it fit the convention really well. The space, it wasn't too big, too open. It was carpeted this year, which I think helped cut down on um, some of the echo, some of the extra noise that was going on in some of the bigger hall. They had the game library was spaced out really well. Carpet was way better than the hard floor. Yeah, for sure. I thought so too. It felt more comfortable, and I don't know if it was just because of the carpet, but just I felt like that space felt more like I was in somebody's living room. You know what I mean? Just a gigantic living room filled with people playing games. That's the way it felt to me, and that's why I think this was one of my favorite cons that I've been to. Played a lot of great games. The first night there taught Arc Nova, less industrial, exactly. Yeah, more homey, exactly. Yeah, that's the way it felt to me too. It was nice. Yeah, first night there taught Arc Nova to Carl and our buddy Steven. That was really fun. It's a great game. I don't know how often I'm gonna play that game at more than two now though. Wish you could have made it this year. Yeah, I mean they do it every year, so or this was their first year back at least since the COVID kind of shut everything down. Uh, but it felt really good to get back to it. It kind of reminded me of why this one is one of my favorite cons. It's much more about playing the games than about the spectacle and the um, you know just buying up all the new stuff. There was a little bit of that too. They have vendors there, but the main focus is on the games and getting them played. And I really like that about this con. I played more games in one full day there than I did at all 4 days at Gen Con. Nice that all the cons have different feels to them. Yeah, they for sure do. We were Jen and I were just talking about that last night about how each one definitely has kind of a unique feel to it. Um, let's see what else. Oh, so first night we played Arc Nova. That was the only game we got played because I mean it's pretty long at two. any more than 2, and it takes quite a while. So, and I wasn't able to get out there until after I got out of work on Friday. So late start, long game, just the one game that night. Saturday, Jen came with me. We played Creature Comforts, which I really liked. That one had a really cool. It's worker placement, but then you have to spend dice to activate the places that you placed your workers. But you roll most of them after you've assigned your workers to a space. So you're kind of gambling a little bit on what numbers are going to get rolled. And will I be able to actually activate the spaces that I put my workers? Now, normally that would kind of bug me a little bit. But in this game, you get, if you don't end up not being able to activate something, you get a lesson learned token. Which basically says, okay, you can use this on a future turn to adjust your die roll. So, you can make a die worth +1 or -1, whatever you need to do. Definitely want to try Creature Comforts at some point. Yeah, and so Grand Con has the deluxe version in their library, and so now it's going to be hard to buy anything but the deluxe version of Creature Comforts. I don't know that it necessarily adds that much, but the tokens were nice, and the art is just super cute. Kids Table Board Games puts out a lot of kind of cute looking board games. I think this is the first one I've played from them though. Now I need the deluxe. Yeah, we were making jokes about it, how it's like flying first class, right? Once you've done it once, it's hard to go back to coach. Let's see. After that, we played the Spill, which actually is still set up on our table back here. We ended up playing it again Sunday night after we got back from Grand Con. So obviously we liked it. I would say if you like cooperative games like Pandemic, you will probably like the Spill. So in this game, in the Spill, it's there's a big tower in the center of the table, basically a dice tower, and you're dropping these black dice into it, and where those spill out determine what number they roll and what sector they drop into, kind of determines where they're going to have a negative effect. So you're trying to save sea creatures from this oil spill and kind of clean it up and everything. Happy 30th. Thanks, Whipsy. I wish, man. Yeah, I wouldn't mind shaving off 10 years. Let's see. After we learned the Spill, we played Silver and Gold. We played a short game of that. If you haven't played that before, it's a small card game where you're flipping over cards with Tetris shapes on them, and you're using these Tetris shapes to fill in little treasure map cards. And as you fill those in, you're gonna get little bonuses, or maybe some of them will give you extra scoring opportunities, or some of them may give you additional boxes that you can check off. And for each one that you finish, you're able to score a certain number of points. Got to get those deluxe components, yeah, for sure. It's hard not to. I mean, I'll admit it. I'm a sucker for deluxe components. Were these played at Grand Con? Yes. Yep. These were the games that we played at Grand Con this year. I was saying this was their first year back in 2.5 years, ever since the COVID lockdown. felt really good to get back. What did we play after Silver and Gold? Carl, do you remember? Never even heard of it? Never heard of Grand Con? Grand Con is our regional convention here in West Michigan. It's in Grand Rapids at the DeVos Convention Center. It's pretty small compared to conventions like Gen Con or Origins, but it's definitely much more about playing games than it is about buying the new stuff. All right. Let's see. Okay. So, buying them. Oh yeah, Brian Baru. That's right. Yep, Brian Baru. We played after we got back from dinner. Brian Baru is it's a trick-taking game, sort of. Hey, Legends, welcome in. How are you today, my friend? Yeah, so Brian Baru, it's a trick-taking game where you are drafting your hand of cards. So you're drafting, you're dealt a hand of cards, and then you're going to draft those cards so that you have some control of what your tricks can do. And then you're using the cards in the trick-taking portion to do basically an area control thing on a map of Ireland. Really interesting. Selfish Lock is the real MVP with those links. Yeah, for sure. Doing good. About to go back to work, though? Oh, no. Well, thanks for stopping in anyway. Have you played anything new to you yet recently, Legends? Yeah, Lock's good with those links. This is so that was my second time playing Brian Baru, and I'm really liking that one. It plays really quick too. So a quick playing area control. I mean, it's pretty close to like ethno status for me, in terms of a quick playing area control, area majority style game. Which is a pretty bold claim because I really like ethnos. And then after Brian Baru, we played Cat in the Box. The trick taking game where you don't have suits on the cards. I try to keep up on them, that way people can check them out like me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate that, Locke. Yep, especially if I have no good words to really describe the game, that's a good way to do it. Plus, then if we forget something later on, we can always scroll back and take a look at it, right? Jen was awesome and got me a peanut butter shake today, so thank you, Jen. Yeah, Cat in the Box. Have I played Great Western Trail? I have. I love Great Western Trail. Carl in the chat, he's got the new edition. I have the old edition, the first edition. I still go back and forth. I sort of want to sell it to get the second edition just because it does look nicer, but I don't know if that's really necessary. But like I said, it's I'm a sucker for upgraded components, so That's uh, how's the new edition? Just looks nicer. Uh, I mean, Carl would probably be able to answer the question about what's new in Great Western Trail Second Edition more than I could. I can't. I now. I don't. Carl, they did. If I'm right, if I'm remembering correctly, they did not include the expansion with the base game for Second Edition, right? New set of cattle, which are really cool, and some tweaks to the map. Okay, so no major changes from the sounds of it. Now I am interested. There is a Argentina version that is supposed to get released at Essen, and it sounds like that one makes some more significant changes to the system. Expansion is separate. Okay, that's what I thought. But they did put out a second edition version of the what is it called, Rails to the North expansion, so that the artwork matched and everything. Did add a solo mode though. Oh, crud. The solo mode, I've played Maracaibo solo, and I really liked that. No, that's fine, Whipsy. Ask away. If you get me chatting on games, you're doing all right by me. Um, yeah, boy, I would kind of be interested in a solo mode for sure. Oh man, now I got to think on that. Sorry, I got time. Carl's got it anyway. I'll just go. I'll just grab his copy. Um, let's see. So where did we leave off? We left off with Cat in the Box. So that's one of my newest favorite trick taking games. Really interesting. It breaks my brain a little bit. It's pretty tough to. It can be kind of tough to wrap your head around. Um, but it's really good. It's so clever in how the trick taking works, and I almost feel like I would have a hard time explaining it in this format. Uh, but I would recommend checking it out. If I would say if you like trick taking or card games at all, definitely check out Cat in the Box. And I almost passed it up completely because I think just when I saw Cat in the Box, I automatically thought like, oh, this is gonna be like an Exploding Kittens type of thing, and I'm not the biggest Exploding Kittens fan. I kind of thought, you know what, it's probably not for me. Um, and then a buddy of ours kind of explained it a little bit more, and I went, "Ooh, I should pick that up," because I really like trick taking games. So yeah, we got a chance to play a full game of that on Saturday night, and that was really good. Glad we got a full game of it in. Um, Sunday was Sunday was a little bit all over the place in terms of games that I played. Cat in the Box is super clever, but hard to grasp the optimum play. Yes. Well, especially because I think you can get there eventually, right? I think you can figure out the the best cards, or as much as you can in a trick taking game. You can kind of figure out what cards will be the best card to play in this situation, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer to get to that point with a game with essentially no suits. Um, yeah, I'm curious to say. It's really hard for me to say anything too definitive yet because I've only played it the one time all the way through. We played like a half a game at Gen Con, but but yeah, I'm curious to see how it holds up over multiple plays. Sunday Sunday is family day at Grand Con, so we took the We took the girls with us, Jen and I, and our two daughters. So, hey, Locke, thank you for contributing to the collection tour challenge. Yeah, just a reminder, everybody, I do have that up. So I will be doing it soon anyway, because we've been so close for so long, that we will be doing the collection tour stream as soon as we get a chance. It's been a matter of what weekend am I free to do it. So obviously last weekend we had Grand Con. This upcoming weekend we are doing a full weekend of gaming for my birthday. So it's just a matter of finding a little free time to do it, because it's gonna take a while. But I haven't forgot about it. We will be doing it, and as soon as I make a decision of when that date is, I'll make sure to let everybody know. We can see that it will be an undertaking. Yeah, I'm sure you can. Yeah, and we've actually got more on the way. So Sunday family day, we played. First game we played with our girls was the Disney Haunted Mansion. I think it's Call of the Spirits, something like that. It's a really simple set collection game where you're trying to collect cards, figure out where that new shelf will be. We may have figured that out. Oops. I was pretty adamant when we moved down here that we weren't adding anymore, but here we are. It's fine. It's all gonna be fine. The Disney Haunted Mansion. If you like the, you were kidding. I'm not. I would say, especially if you have any interest in the ride or anything at all. Like, our family really likes Disney. Haunted Mansion's one of our favorite rides there. We even our bathroom here in our basement is decorated in the style of the Haunted Mansion. So we've got like a ornate black mirror in there, and the wallpaper from the ride is our shower curtain. So we're fans of the ride. So there were a lot of little nods to that. So it was cute, and it was really easy for the kids to pick up. I would say if you play games with your family, I think that's a pretty good one. You didn't know about the bathroom? Well, if you make it down to game day, you can see it. Let's see. After that, I had the chance to check out a prototype for a game called The Lonely Cairn. And if Chris is still in chat, he can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that one's going to be coming out from Catastrophe. But it's a historical themed solo game based on the expedition to the Northwest Passage. I got that right? Okay, whew. I don't do a ton. I don't do a ton of solo gaming necessarily. Typically because especially if there's a lot of setup involved. I don't tend to like putting in a ton of time into setup for a game that I'm only going to play by myself. So any solo gaming that I do, I want there to be really quick setup. This game definitely had that. I mean, it didn't take more than 10-15 minutes of a quick setup and explanation, and I was rolling. The game itself is really difficult, which again I like that. I'm very excited to see the final product, because I can see this being a really good game. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to checking this one out when it actually. It sounds like it's coming to crowdfunding. I'm assuming Kickstarter, but don't quote me on that. But it sounds like they are planning on crowdfunding it. I know I'm going to be taking a look at it as soon as it hits. So if you get a chance, check that one out for sure. Basically, it's a hand management game, but you got a pretty small a small deck of cards that you're kind of working your way through. So you kind of set up your deck ahead of time, and you're kind of trying to burn through this deck, cycling through this deck to make sure you have the right cards in your hand when you need them. Probably Kickstarter should be able to share new artwork soon. Awesome. Yeah, it was. And one thing that I thought was interesting was this: the game was difficult, but the system was fairly simple, and that, I mean, I could see that lending itself pretty easily to creating a almost a series of games with this similar system, which is kind of cool too. Artwork. Yep, Selfish Lock is our resident artist, so I'm sure he'll be excited to see that. Yeah, I think they've got a really good game on their hands with that. I had a chance to watch Chris play it on his channel over at Board Again Gaming, and he was kind enough to bring it up for me to check out. So I'm really glad he did. I'm looking forward to playing a full copy of it. Okay, so we've been chatting about Grand Con for quite a while. I think it's time to get into the top 40 for 40. So this is something I started doing last year. Well, obviously last year because I started streaming. Kind of words? Those were kind of words. Kind words. Yeah, I really did enjoy it. Honestly, that was a very good game. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, so last year I started doing a countdown of my favorite games. I did 39 games for my 39th birthday, and I think this is something I'm just going to start making kind of an annual thing around my birthday. Do a countdown and just add another game for however many years it happens to be. We'll bow bow bow. Yeah. So we'll see if I ever make it to doing a top 100. I'm gonna guess no, but all right, let's get switched over. All right. I gotta rearrange my stuff here. Okay. 40 for 40, yes. So a little bit about my taste in gaming. Generally, I tend to live kind of in the midweight Euro realm, more or less. Those tend to be some of my favorites, so you're probably going to see a lot of those. I do like some heavier games. I do I do really like Vital Lacerda games. Although I don't know that any of them made this list. They may have fallen just outside of the 40. But a lot of this too is going to kind of be dependent on how recently I've had a chance to play a game and how often I've had a chance to play a game. So that does affect, obviously, where something lands in the ranking. Locke, did you see the new emote? I believe I got a notification that we did have the new one get approved. What? Okay. All right, starting off with my number 40. Oh, are you not going to work? Okay. I guess we're doing it the old-fashioned way. Number 40 is Biblios. Biblios is a auction style. Boy, what would you call that? Like a filler game almost. You can do it. Apparently, I can't. I think there's some disconnect between my touch panel app. Oh, there it goes. That time it worked. Weird. Huh. Must be not. Biblios it's an auction style game where you are going to, so first round of the game plays in two phases basically. First phase, you set up your deck and the communal deck. So you're going to draw a number of cards equal to the number of people in the game plus one. You're going to choose one to keep for yourself, one to put into a pile that's going to get bid on in the second phase of the game, and then everybody else is going to draft from the remaining cards. Great game? Yes, it is. It is. And it's super... So there are certain cards that are going to let you manipulate these dice on the board. So this is the kind of dice game that I'm decent at because I don't actually have to roll the dice. So that helps. The dice determine the point value you will get for having the most of a particular color card. So as you're going through and bidding on different cards, gathering them up, and making sets, you're also getting cards that are going to let you manipulate the values of these dice. And so you're going to, if you've got a lot of reds, you're going to try and make that red die a little bit higher. But you got to be careful too a little bit. You may want to kind of bluff on that a little bit and say, bump up a value that you're not necessarily going for, so that other people don't tank the one you actually want to score high. Because if I see Carl pumping up the red value, I'm gonna think, oh, he's got a lot of red cards in his hand. I'm gonna tank that red die if I get the chance. Really fun, plays really fast. It's one of the few bidding style games like this, I think, that actually plays well at the full player count, or at the full range of players. Jen and I have played this a lot 2-player, and it's really good at 2. We've played it up to 4 players. Plays really good at 4, and so it's a really good filler game. Yeah, again, it doesn't take very long to play. So it's very good. Steve Finn does a lot of kind of this style of small game. I have at least one other of his that I've been thinking I need to get back to the table. All right. Moving on to... Oh my gosh. My peanut butter shake sweat all over my table. Now I got a big old puddle on the table. Who has last year's list to see what's new and what's moved? I still have a copy of last year's list. What I was going to do was post that, and I think I posted to the Discord last year, posted the full 100. And then I'm probably going to do the same with this one. But I can make up an Excel that will kind of tell us a little bit more about, how things have shifted. I will say there has been quite a bit of movement, it feels like, in this one, although I haven't compared them that much to say definitively. I'll put it in the Discord, and maybe I'll put it on the Beer City Board Games Facebook page also. That way we've got it in a couple of different spots. Middle-aged Dan sneaking in. All right, number 39, Kingsburg. Sneaky, sneaky. And honestly, I was kind of surprised to see this one end up here to an extent. I haven't played it in a long time, but I think that's part of the reason why it ended up here, because I've been wanting to play it recently. So I think that might have had something to do with it. Stabby Dan. Kingsburg is a game where you are rolling dice and using those dice to influence different characters on the board. So you can see you've got a value of 1 through 18 on the board with a different character that's going to give you some sort of different special bonus, give you mostly resources of some type. And so you can combine your dice, or you can do them each individually. You could do, all 3 dice on one character, 1 die on one character, 2 on another. Basically, any combination of dice in order to get your pick value to meet the value on the character that you were trying to influence. Then you're taking those resources and you are building up a city. And then at the end of the game, or at multiple points throughout the game, rather, there are going to be invading armies that you are going to have to repel. And if you don't, it's a pretty big loss to to your victory points. But essentially, at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. But it can be a pretty cutthroat game, because there are ways that you can just block somebody out completely from being able to place the die that they actually rolled. Now they do have, just like I was explaining in Creature Comforts, where you have the lesson learned tokens. This one also has tokens that will let you modify the value of a die. So that is helpful. You will get certain little bonuses. You're going to be building up the city that you end up building is going to give you some special abilities. So at the beginning, everything is pretty much the same. But as you kind of build up, everybody starts getting their own special abilities. So everybody becomes a little bit more unique. This is one of the earlier games that I've played, and I don't see this one ever leaving the collection. I have the first edition copy. I know Carl's got the second edition. They did put out a new version recently with some updated artwork and everything. I personally, I like the older box cover, and I do have the To Forge a Realm expansion for it, which adds a lot of kind of cool new twists to the game. But I would almost consider this one a classic at this point. And yeah, definitely give that one a try. Seems intriguing. Yeah, I like it a lot. Like I said, it's interesting trying to puzzle out, because not only do you have to worry about, will I roll the dice that will give me the resources that I need, but will somebody else place their die there and totally ruin my plan? I don't like that in a lot of the Euro style games that I play, but in this one, it's not so bad. I mean, it still stings when somebody takes that spot that you wanted, but it's good. All right, number 38, Bruges. I think most folks who have been here for a while probably know that I'm a big Stefan Feld fan. I have, I think, only played one of his games that I didn't like, and most of the games of his that I've played are pretty high up on my list. First Feld. Yeah. Now, Carl is our resident Feld fanatic. I think at least at one point. Not the last, you assume? We'll see. Maybe this is my only Feld this year. Bruges is really interesting in that it has one of my favorite things. He's no Uwe. I mean, I like Uwe too, but the number of games that I like between the two is vastly skewed in Feld's direction. With Bruges, you have a hand of cards, and those cards are multi-use. And you're gonna be you can play them down as buildings. You can play them as people if you have a building down to. Sorry, Uwe. Yeah. That's right. Don't get me wrong. I still like Uwe. You'll be seeing some of his games on here too. Where was I? Oh, so you can use the cards to get money, to build the canals, to play them as people or buildings, and each one of those things that you play down is going to give you some unique ability. Multi-use cards are one of my. I'm cutting out. Oh no. Seems good now. Okay. All right. Thanks, Locke. Yeah, I wonder if we just dipped for a minute. Multi-use cards are one of my favorite mechanisms in any game. So, I really like this one. I mean, it's a Feld. It's hard to go wrong. I'm curious to check out the new version in the Feld City collection, but but yeah, this one we played at. I think it's been a while since we've played this one. I think the last time we played this one was, I think it was during COVID lockdown. Might have been the last time I played this. But still really high up there for me. Number 37 is Rajas of the Ganges. This is a dice worker placement game. It's Heartfeld. Boo. Unfortunately, I don't have my soundboard up right now. I can't give you the fail sound. Rajas of the Ganges it's a dice worker placement. So you're gonna be collecting different colored dice and rolling those dice, and basically whatever you happen to roll with whatever particular color will tell you what you're able to do. And you still heard the sound. Perfect. There you go. This one has grown on you. Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed it enough that we ended up picking up the goodie boxes for it. I like the tile laying aspect of it. But hey, Oren. Thanks for the resub. 12 months in a row. All right. Parents stopped by unexpectedly. Got to watch out for the drop-ins. How is everybody at the Oren household today? Yeah, Rajas is great. I really like I enjoy games with dice as long as I don't really enjoy roll to resolve all that much, but dice games that use dice as like workers or some sort of activation, I really tend to like those. How's it going? Things are going good here. We're good. I'm tired, but otherwise fine. Have a long day. Cursed dice. That's right. Not to mention it, the art is beautiful. That whole board is gorgeous. On Rajas. This was one that I did not play for a very long time. And it was on my list of ones that I wanted to make sure to get played, but for some reason just it kept passing me by, and when I finally got a chance to play it, I really enjoyed it. One of the main unique things about this one that I like is the fact that there are two tracks. There's a wealth track, and I can't remember what the other one is called. Wealth and Fame? Is it Wealth and Fame? It's something along those lines. But basically, there are two tracks that are going in different directions, and your goal is to try and get your counter on each of those tracks to pass. So you can go all in on wealth and maybe not worry so much about fame, or vice versa, or you can try and do a little bit of both. And it's just a matter of who gets their tokens to pass each other first. And so that was a really interesting concept. That was the first game that I played that had something like that, and I found that very interesting. I thought that was a really cool scoring mechanism. Got to lurk for a few, getting the kids cleaned up and in bed. No problem, Lauren. Didn't sleep much last night. Uh-oh. All right. Number 36 is Istanbul. Have to head out. We'll try to watch the rest of the list tomorrow. No problem, Chris. Appreciate you stopping in. Yeah, the list will be up on the VODs tomorrow, and then I will probably try and get this downloaded and and uploaded to YouTube as soon as possible. Uh-oh. Everybody's got to get their kids in bed. Oh, no. Must be that time. School nights and all. Istanbul was one of the very first kind of modern board games that we bought. It was definitely the first one that we bought from our friendly local game store. our first trip into Out of the Box Games in Kentwood, Michigan, was when we picked this game up, and that was the first time that we had gone into a game store, and this was the first game that we bought there. And I still remember the first time we played it, and how cool it felt to to play that game. So in this one, so you've got your merchant token and a stack of assistant tokens underneath it, and you're going to be moving around this map of the city, and you can move 1 to 2 spaces, and then you have to either drop off or pick up one of your assistants to be able to take the action of that tile that you land on. And so it's really important to try and create a route that is efficient enough so that you can either earn enough money or find enough goods that you can trade them in for rubies. Because basically the game is a race to see who can get, I believe it's 6 rubies first. And so the whole kind of picking things up and moving them around the board was unique. I think a lot of this one too is just straight up nostalgia. To be honest, like I said, it was one of the first that we had played. So, I think it kind of lives in that. Never gonna get rid of it because it was so integral in my learning to love board games that this one was one that I think is just going to stick around. All right. 35 is Orleans. Nostalgia, and I do still think it holds up. It does. Hey, Jen. Yeah, it definitely does. And it can play a higher number of players fairly easy, which is nice. We've played that one. I believe it plays up to, I think it's is it a 5 or is it a 6? I can't remember now. But I know we've played it at the full player count, and it played really well. It didn't bog down too much. So, yeah. Yep, I do think it plays really well. We did have a chance to play the dice game version recently, and while I don't think it's as good as the original, I think it's a pretty good, dice version of the base game. Orleans, however you want to pronounce it, is trusty classic. Yeah, exactly. Yep, I think that's exactly what it is. Orleans is my number 35. This is the first bag building game that I had ever played. You are recruiting these villagers, and they come in on these little tokens. You're putting them into a bag and then drawing those out of your bag to try to activate different spots on your board. Those spots are either going to let you get more villagers to give you more abilities, or it's going to let you move around a map, gather up resources, all of these other things that are going to let you score points. That whole mechanism of putting stuff into a bag and then seeing what you draw out of it, I think is really neat. I've played a few others that kind of have that same mechanism within the last few years, but this was the first one that I'd ever played with something like that, and I think that might be why it tends to rate higher. Plus, I've played it more. This is one of the games that I've spent a little bit of time in blinging out a little bit. So, for example, there are in the base game there are these little cardboard cogs that you get that you can put down to automate a spot so that you don't have to activate it with one of your villager tokens. We went and bought little brass gears, like little brass sprockets that you can put over top of them instead. So just some little things like that, just to kind of bling it out a little bit. Like I said, I like my deluxe. I made some little scrolls that we put on the map to mark out where we have different. There are, like, when we play with the Trade and Intrigue expansion, there are contracts that you can fulfill at different cities. And that expansion is great for this game, by the way. If you have Orleans and have not tried the Trade and Intrigue expansion yet, definitely give that a shot. But I made some little scrolls that I can put down on the map to mark out which cities are have the what do you call them? The contracts. Yeah. So yeah, it's one that still pretty consistently gets to the table. So that is number 35, Orleans. Number 34 is The Crew, Quest for Planet 9. Carl, I'm sure that Christy will be happy about that. The Crew is it's a lot like Cat in the Box. This is a trick-taking game, except this one is cooperative, and so you are going to be, at the beginning of a hand, you determine who's going to be trying to take what cards. So I may have a card that says I have to try to win the yellow 3. So that in itself is not super tricky, although it can be difficult. But there are all these tokens there that you can see around the cards. They'll tell you to do something like, okay, but so and so has to win the pink 4 first. Then you have to win the yellow 3, and then somebody has to win the blue 9. So that's kind of where the difficulty lies, and you can't tell anybody what's in your hand. There is a trump suit that you can play also, but you have to be very careful about when to play that trump suit. And there's like a campaign book that you are making your way through. You're going to start pretty simple, but then as you get further and further along, these hands get more and more difficult. But it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun failing at this game because it's one of those where you finish and you kind of sit around and go, oh, I should have done this. I should have played this card when you played this. And I have some friends that would really like this game, you think? Yeah. If anybody likes games like Hearts or Euchre, here in Michigan, Euchre is kind of the big thing. If anybody likes that style of game and you're trying to get them to play something a little different, I would recommend The Crew. It is really good. Co-op trick-taking is surprisingly cool. Yeah, it works. And I really, when I first heard about it, didn't think it would. It sounded really strange, but yeah, it works. Number 33, Five Tribes. This is another kind of almost classic at this point. Bruno Cathala, Days of Wonder. Really colorful game once you get all those meeples on the board. But this is one where you are playing kind of Mancala style, where you are going to pick up all of the people on one of these tiles. They like the mind, and this makes me think of that. Okay, I would say it's the rules are not more difficult than the mind necessarily. But figuring out how to play it well is pretty tricky. So yeah, so 5 tribes with the Mancala system. You're gonna pick up all the people on one tile. You're gonna move them around by placing one person on every tile until you get to your final destination, and then whichever is the last one you place there, however many of that color meeple is on that tile, that determines what action you're going to be taking. So you're going to be doing things like putting down those castles. Let's see. The blue ones let you score points for other blue tiles. Red ones are gonna kick other meeples off of other tiles. Green ones are going to let you buy cards that are going to give you kind of a set collection bonus at the end. A lot of different ways to play the game, which I really enjoy. And if you completely clear off the tile, you get to claim it by putting one of your camels on it, and that's going to give you points for that tile at the end of the game. This one is it can be a little brain burny. Again, not in the sense that the rules are that difficult, but sometimes it can be AP inducing when you're trying to look for that just the right move. I'm sure I don't always play just the right move. I can almost guarantee that, but that's fine. It's fun. It's a fun game to play either way. And not to mention the fact that you get these Jin cards, which are going to give you some pretty high-powered special abilities throughout the game. One of my favorite things to do is just stack up on a bunch of those. So even if I lose, I'm doing all kinds of cool stuff throughout the game anyway. Yeah, so this one, again, this is one that was one of the earlier games that I can remember playing in when we started gaming. And yeah, still love it. Number 32 is another The Crew. The Crew Mission Deep Sea. I debated on this one for a long time, guys. I debated on this for quite a while whether or not I should count The Crew Planet Quest for Planet 9 and The Crew Mission Deep Sea as one. But to me, they felt too different. The gameplay, like the style of game is the same. Yes, I split the crews. This one replaces the other for many. It does. Hey, Clyde. How are you? I know. And I went back and forth on whether or not I should combine the two or split them up. But to me, the goal cards from Mission Deep Sea completely change the game. If that, like you're trying to do similar things, but the way that those goal cards come out just change the feel of the game so much. It does for me. As much as I like the original, this is the one I will go back to. Yeah, and I've been hearing that from a lot of people that once you play Mission Deep Sea, it's hard to go back to the original. Now, I still really like the original. I still think that is a great game, and obviously I like them pretty close because they ended up very close to each other on the list. But I love the change of those new goal cards and how those get, it's more variety each hand than just, okay, I need to win this card, you need to win that card. That's cool, and that it works. But this one has so many more different goals, and you could have things that are like goals that are wildly different compared to the first crew. So as much as I kind of wanted to combine these two, it just felt like they were different enough that, and on top of that, the fact that they fell so close together, it was kind of like, well, if I split them up, I do like this one a little bit more than I like the first one. Not that much more, but I do like it more. So it kind of made sense that this is where it would fall. So I was like, well, I felt like if I were to combine them, I felt like I would be kind of manipulating the system a little too much, if that makes sense. Okay, now that I've explained myself for that, number 31, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. I did like Terraforming Mars. It wasn't my favorite game. But I did enjoy it. I especially liked it as a solo game. I think I liked it more as a solo game than I did as a group like a group game. With Ares Expedition, it adds the card combo, like the card combo stuff that I liked from Terraforming Mars, but with the kind of role selection element that I like from games like San Juan, Race for the Galaxy, Puerto Rico, even Twilight Imperium, where I'm going to select this action to take and everybody else gets to do a similar but not quite as good version of that action. And on top of that, the card combos that you can build in like the Terraforming Mars games, it really feels like you've accomplished something by the time you're done. You know what I mean? I've got a whole tableau of cards laid out in front of me, and I'm triggering things left and right, and if it's one of those games that just you feel good when you're doing it. I ended up selling on my copy of Terraforming Mars, the base game. Just because I liked this one that much, and between that and Ark Nova, which also kind of had that similar feel of building up kind of a card engine, I didn't think I was really going to end up playing Terraforming Mars all that often again. And I think if I decided I wanted to, I don't think it'd be that hard to find. Plus, I have the app for base Terraforming Mars now, too. So, really no need to hang on to that one if I've got this. Agree that it is more fun than the original? Yeah, we've talked about that before. And I know Jen kind of agrees with that, too. That again, it's not that I thought that the original was bad or anything. This cut down a lot of the extra stuff in Terraforming Mars that I didn't care for, and just left it distilled it down to the stuff about Terraforming Mars that I really liked. And so it was hard not to like this one more. Okay. Oh, and there's a picture of it. I keep forgetting. I have the cover, then a picture. But yeah, you can see right there, there's all those cards there that, there are going to be combos that you can make, special abilities you're going to get. You're building up supplies, resources, money, and by the end, your engine is just churning out all kinds of stuff. And those types of games where you're building an engine it's really kicking out a lot of resources for you, a lot of money for you. That always feels good when you get to the end of those. Number 30, Res Arcana. Speaking of engine building games, this is very much that. One of the coolest things about this one, though, is that you start with a hand of cards, and those are all the cards that you're going to get for the entirety of the game. You're not drawing a bunch more cards. You're going to have a very small deck of cards, and you want to try and get all of those cards out and played as soon as you can so that you can start churning that engine and trying to get resources to buy these other cards that are basically point value cards. But that whole starting with very limited powers and very limited cards that you can use and trying to figure out how do I make this do what I want it to do is a really cool puzzle. And that's one of the main reasons why I like this game. You're going to start the round with some sort of special ability also, and then you get dealt an alchemist, I think is what you're playing as. You're dealt an alchemist card, and that's going to give you some sort of special ability as well, and kind of tell you what you're starting off with, and then from there and the cards in your hand, you are building up this engine so that you can buy these higher value point value cards at the top. And it's I didn't like it when I first played it, which is the weird thing. This is one that's definitely grown on me the more that I've played it. Starting out, I played it 2-player with Carl, and I remembered finishing it and kind of thinking, yeah, that was fine, but I didn't feel like I could do anything. But then the more times I played it, the more I kind of understood that that's kind of the point of this one, is that, yeah, you don't have a lot of options. You need to make it work with what you have. And that's when I kind of realized that's kind of when the switch flipped for me, and I kind of realized, you know what, this is really good when you think about it in those terms. Interesting that it was one that you didn't like. Yeah. It went from being one that, I was considering selling, and then the more times I played it, the more I liked it. I will try to give games more than at least more than one chance before I decide if I really like it or don't like it. If I'm gonna try and sell something on, I usually won't do that after just one play. I'll typically try to give it a fair shake. Yeah, I have to play this one again. Didn't really click for me in the 2 plays I had. Hey, Addie. Happy late birthday. Thank you. Welcome in. Yeah, I remember that first play that you and I had, Carl, and thinking, just something didn't feel right about it. And then played it again with Brian and some other folks, and started to like it then. And then that's kind of when I figured out what I was trying to do, but the mindset that you had to go into that game with. And then played it again with Jen. And she whooped me pretty bad, but I had a lot more fun in that one because I was realizing that it's all about kind of managing that small hand of cards and what am I going to do with it. This is just this little, holy cow, Paula. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Beer City Board Games. How is everybody doing tonight? How was the stream? Demhead Raid. It was the play with me that cemented it for you. Yeah, that was it. That was the one. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Paula, how was your stream tonight? What were you playing? For those of you who are new here, I am Clay. This is Beer City Board Games. Today we are counting down. So this weekend was my 40th birthday. I am counting down my 40 favorite games of all time. Welcome, welcome. It was fun. We played some video games. Finished up Stray. Oh, Stray looks interesting. I have not played that, but that is intriguing looking. And then switched to Mortal Kombat for a change of pace. That is a big change of pace. Locke, thank you so much for the shout out for Paula. Happy one more year of gaming day, yes. Thank you. Yeah, so I was very lucky. We had our local gaming convention this weekend, Grand Con, here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and it falls on the weekend of my birthday. So not only do I have a long weekend for Labor Day weekend, but also I have a game convention that's going on that same weekend. So it was a great weekend. Played a ton of new games. I got to hang out with a bunch of friends, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. Hey. Oh boy. Forgive me if I... Konigan? Frozen? Can I just call you Frozen? Let me know what you would like to be called. Future X Skeleton. Thank you. I got a little spoiled. Yeah, I did get a little spoiled. Managed to find a copy of Zaya, Legends of the Drift System. I have my It's fine. Yeah, sorry about that. Sometimes I read these names and I don't want to put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. Paula, thank you so much for the follow. Boy, yeah, wow. Okay, so that was fun. All right. So we were just talking about Res Arcana. That was my number 30. Going on to my number 29, Notre Dame. Another Stefan Feld. There's another Feld for you, Carl. This one's another drafting game. You're drafting cards and using those cards to place cubes out onto a map of the city of Paris, and depending on the sector that you are placing those cubes into, it's going to give you an ability. And the more cubes you put in that sector, the more powerful that ability becomes. So, at a certain point, you're going to be making bank off of just one certain area. But you also have to keep an eye out for the hey Kylaris. Welcome in. Corey Feldman? No. You also have to keep an eye out for the Rat Track. That's kind of So Many Wonderful Browns. Yeah, this is about as... I'm not saying it's a pretty game. And it's funny because at the beginning of the stream, I was talking about how I'm a sucker for been lurking, but the last kid is finally in bed. Don't worry about that. I know how that goes. Thank you, Kylaris. You still have a kid lurking? Yeah, at the beginning of the stream, I was talking about how I'm a sucker for the deluxe games, and I like games that look good. This game does not look good. It doesn't look good, but the gameplay is so smooth. It gets out of its own way, right? You really don't have a whole lot of admin. There's not really that much that you have to worry about. You're playing the game, and you're right into it, and it's victory point accumulation, but it's so nice. It's so smooth. Oren is back. Everybody's back. Deluxe. Yeah, I prefer the deluxe. That's fine though. It's a good game either way. I prefer deluxe, but that doesn't mean that I can't recognize a good game when it's a good game. All right, number 28. Maracaibo. Just enjoying Clay's updated list and curious about the changes from last year. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to post the updated list to... In German, some people use the term Feldsalat, lamb's lettuce for point salad. That checks out. That's awesome. That's great. That's great, Ruckus. I was also how many games? You were wondering how many games have changed since the top 39 last year? Yeah, I was saying I'm gonna post to the Discord, and I'm gonna put up last year's something that compares last year's list to this year's list, and where everything landed, how they moved, and what any of the, make sure to mark out anything that is new to the list. So earlier, Whipsy was asking about Great Western Trail, a side by side. Yeah, yep. Yeah, I had done that last year too, but it was not the most visually appealing spreadsheet, so I didn't upload that one. It was interesting to me, but I didn't think anybody else would really get a kick out of it, so that one didn't go into the Discord. Maracaibo is new to the top 40. Okay. Yeah. I figured it was probably close. It may have been close last year. This one is... I've played it solo, and I really do like the solo. I'm not sure what it is about this one that appeals to me so much. I like the card play. The card play is interesting. I like the fact that... Oh, it was number 50. Batcarl, are you stalking me? Do you have some information that I don't have? I like so this has a very similar mechanism to Great Western Trail in that you are kind of following down this path and taking different actions at the different locations you stop at. One thing that I do find interesting about this one is that as you're moving along, once somebody makes it back to the beginning... Oh, you found my spreadsheet from last year. Oh, excellent. Okay, cool. All right, Batcarl is on admin. So once a player gets to the end of the track here, everyone else only has like another turn or two before they're all going to get pulled back to the beginning and have to start over again. So you kind of have to plan that out as you're playing. You're not going to have the time to kind of dink and duck your way all the way around this track to take all of the actions that you want to take. You kind of have to make a decision. These are the actions that I want to make sure I get done this turn so that I can play this card, so that I can unlock these abilities. Fister's games tend to sit really well with me. I would say if he is not my number 2 designer, he is probably pretty darn close. I would imagine he's probably pretty close. And at this point, I am actually not, I gotta remember if I'm pretty sure Great Western Trail is on this list, but we'll see. Be embarrassed if it's not. Story card campaign is simple, but adds some fun little challenges game to game. You were right on about the solo. Yeah, I think the solo version, the solo mode on this one is very good. The only thing that stops me from doing it more is the fact that the setup does take a long time. Oh, I see you brew mead. That would make an interesting theme for a game. Oh, you make that game and I'll play it. You better believe it. I mean, we've got brew crafters, right? And there's been quite a few kind of spirits themed games, right? I haven't played was it Distillers? I haven't played that yet. Very interested in a mead brewing game? Yeah, for sure. I do enjoy a good mead. Cheers. Spoilers? Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I can't remember. We'll find out. Okay, what are we on now? We're heading to 27. Oh, well, how about that? Great Western Trail. They're so close for me. And the funny thing is, like, so I did all of this on using Pub Meeple's ranking engine. I did not manipulate any of these when I finished. And these two just ended up back to back. I'm a sucker for theme. I like unique ones. Yeah, me too. I wholeheartedly agree with that, Ruckus. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind my fantasy games or, my trading in the Mediterranean games or whatever. But if it's got a unique game or a unique theme to it, excuse me, I am much more interested in picking it up. I was saying that prototype that I played this weekend at Grand Con about the Northwest Passage expedition. Way too low on this one though. Oh. I don't do I don't know. Coincidence it came next year where you're just messing with us? I might have been messing with you. Just a little bit. Yeah. If it's got a unique theme though, Ruckus, I agree. I'm way more likely to play it. I think this one has dropped a little bit just because I have not played it since we had that one game that dragged on just a little too long. And I think that's part of the reason why it ended up where it did. I get that that was more of a we didn't play it the way that we should have been playing it. But my last experience is what I'm basing my information off of. I would also say that 27 is still pretty darn good. So if you've never played Great Western Trail, this is a game where you are moving your cowboys down a track. You're going to build buildings on this track to give you some new actions that you can take. And then you're going to use those actions a lot. Most of those actions are going to be used to kind of manipulate the hand of cattle cards that you have. That one game ruined it. It did not. It didn't. That's the thing, is I still like the game. I still like the game a lot. I mean, 27's not bad. But if I remember right, Carl had this one way up in his top 10. So yeah, you're traveling down, you're taking the different actions, you're manipulating this hand of cattle cards that you have. You're trying to get unique cattle cards in your hand so that when you get to Kansas City, you can sell as many cattle cards as possible to make more money. And then you start all over again and do it again. When I was talking about Maracaibo and kind of how you can't just make every stop along the way because you're going to get pulled to the end at some point. We made the mistake of doing that the last game we played of this. We stopped at every stop along the way because we wanted to make sure we were maximizing our points or maximizing our actions. And that was not the right way to play this game. Locke, you like having those stickers back? No, I still really like this one, and I would like to play it again with the Rails to the North expansion. We played it that one time we played it. We did have we did have the expansion in there, but I didn't utilize it that much, and I would really like to try and play it again where I'm actually taking advantage of some of the new stuff that the expansion added. All right, number 26 is San Juan. Another very beige game. Yeah, I'm seeing a theme here. Love the stickers. They need more volume. You know, I've been messing with that for a while now, and I cannot seem to figure out how to get the volume up on those stickers. I'll keep messing with it, though, Locke. How about trading in the Mediterranean? I think I might have missed something going on between Oren and Ruckus. San Juan. So San Juan is the card game version of Puerto Rico. I really enjoy Puerto Rico. I enjoy the gameplay of Puerto Rico. I'll put it that way. I'm looking forward to the new version that I've seen some rumblings about. San Juan, though, has a really, I mean, it's just a deck of cards, right? But that what you can do with that deck of cards is really interesting. Those cards are your money, they're your resources, you know, they're the goods that your buildings produce. And it's another one of those games where I'm gonna pick an action, you're gonna get to follow, you just don't get to do the better of the actions. Hey, thanks for the follows, Scry. Is it Scry? Close enough? He said, hopefully. Welcome to the channel. I immediately knew what it meant with that title. I immediately knew what it meant with that title. I don't think I follow. Yes, indeed. Perfect. Whew. He said, hopefully. Question mark? I go back and forth on whether or not I like San Juan or Race for the Galaxy better. I think I think Race for the Galaxy is a more interesting game, but I get San Juan played a lot more often. I think the game should be set in the Middle Ages. Oh my gosh. We're planning Mead titles. That's what it. Oh, I see. Ah, punning. I get it. Fantastic. We do love a good pun here. It's on a need to know basis. Oh my goodness. Okay. Number 25, Gaia Project. So I played Gaia Project before I played Terra Mystica. And a lot of the things that I like about Gaia Project, I also like about Terra Mystica. Very, very similar games. Almost to the point where I considered making No Funs Without Puns. That is, you are truthing. With with Gaia Project and Terra Mystica, I considered combining those two because they were very similar. But they felt like they had just enough kind of going on that was different that I didn't feel too bad about splitting them up. I really like, but at the end of the day, what a lot of what you hear me say I like about Gaia Project, you might also hear me say about Terra Mystica if I were to explain that game to you. I like the fact that as you're building out, you're building out these little outposts and things, and you are unlocking income, you're unlocking, you're adding new to the top 40, up from 70 last year. Wow. Boy, that jumped. Huh. I wonder if it was because I had also played Terra Mystica and it kind of re-upped how I felt about just this type of game. Because again, they are very similar games. I don't mind I don't mind pushing cubes up tracks. I don't mind that. A little bit of cubes on tracks is all right for me. Yeah, big jump. Yeah, I'm surprised too. I didn't look at my list from last year, honestly. I did not take a look at it, so this is news to me as well. Now, Carl, you have played both Gaia Project and Terra Mystica. Which one do you prefer? Place channel point bets? Yeah, exactly, Oren. I think playing Terra Mystica made me appreciate this one. Yeah. I think that's kind of what it was. I think it helped me realize that I like this style of game. I think that's exactly what it is. All right. So number 24, Ankh Gods of Egypt. Now this one I definitely need to play more. I will say that I do need to play it more. Same feeling, very similar, but would pick Gaia due to the variability and the tech trees. Gotcha. Okay. Ankh. So I like all of the games in this trilogy of games from Eric Lang and Cool Mini or Not. Or, come on. Sorry. Old habits die hard, I guess. This... I should really start brainstorming for a mead-themed game. The more I think about it, the more I like the idea. It's got to be made in Germany. Perfect. Ruckus, you make that game and you let me know about it because I want to see it. I mean, I think that'd be, especially when you think about it too. How many B games have we had come out recently, right? We've had a ton of B games coming out. Honey Buzz, Queens. We got all these B games coming out. We should we can combine that with a little bit of that with a little bit of Brew Crafters and make a mead game. Bees? So Ankh, in comparison to the other, yep, bees. Natural progression is to meads. I mean, yeah. For me, Ankh is a bit more chess-like than any of the other games in this trilogy. Orin says, I remember Ankh from last year. I don't know that it made... I don't know that it would have made my top 39 from last year. I believe that this one probably... I think this one probably... Oh, you know what? I think I showed it off on a stream because it had just shown up. So I did show it off on stream last year. When it finally arrived from Kickstarter. Ankh is new to the list this year. Yeah, I kind of figured it probably would be. I'm watching the pictures come up while at work with my volume off. That's awesome, Legends. You had just played it on your birthday weekend, so you can definitely talk about it. So I definitely talked about it. Oh, did I? Okay. Boy, I'm glad Carl's keeping track of my life, because apparently I'm not doing it. I probably did talk about it. I'm sure I talked about it. But it's area control. But there's a lot of it adds a kind of a unique thing in that you are cutting up the different areas of the board. So you are creating new territories as you play, and you can really kind of cut those off strategically so that now I'm in control of this area where before you may have controlled the whole area. You know, now I'm cutting this part off, so now I get to control this spot. Which is really unique. I've not played a game where you are changing. Unique to me, at least. I've not played a game where you are changing the terrain as you are playing it. I just looked it up when I recorded the first play, and it was the weekend before your 39 for 39 stream. Oh, okay. Love the minis? Yeah, there are some big minis. Macros? Thanks for clearing that up. Should it be more traditional Vikings or modern, like including environmental things and taking care of bees? That's a good question. I mean, I never got sick of Viking themes, personally. But I don't know. I wonder if you were going for unique themes, if a more modern setting would do better. Just a thought. Oh, turns out Jen agrees with me. It looks like I think it would make it even more unique of a theme to do a modern version. That being said, Vikings and Meads as a theme is super cool. Yeah, I mean they kind of go hand in hand, right? Ankh is really good or Anka's great, really good at 2 players. Surprisingly, so I've only ever played this with 3 players. I would like to play it at 2 because I would like to see. For me, jury's still out on the whole merge mechanism. I think it's interesting. I think it works. I don't know how much I enjoy it yet. That I think I got to play it a few more times to figure that out. But the rest of the game is so good to me that it kind of makes up for that whole uncertainty of whether or not I like that one particular part. You don't, yeah, Jen doesn't like the merging. Yeah, and I've heard a lot of folks say that. Yeah, I've heard quite a few people say that, but it's interesting. It's a different way to do player elimination. Where you're not really eliminated, but I don't know that merging them together makes it feel like, if I'm one of those folks, one of those 2 people that merged, do I feel like I still have enough agency over what's going on? If that makes sense. I may not be explaining that the best, but that's kind of how I felt when the merge happened to me, is that I've just lost a little bit of control over what's happening here. But I would really like to try and play it at 2-player and see how it plays, kind of just leaving that mechanism out. But like I said, the gameplay itself here is good enough that it doesn't diminish how good I think the game is, just because I'm a little unsure of how I feel about that particular part of the game. All right, number 23 is Scythe. Oren, I know you're familiar with this one. And Selfish Lock, eventually you need to make it down here so I can teach you this game. I've played this one quite a bit, both IRL and on the app, and I have a lot of fun every time I play it. It's so strange. It's not what you would think it is. It looks like a war game. It's not. It's resource management. It's a resource management game, but it's cleverly disguised, and I think the world is really unique. Did I play this on stream before? I did. Yeah, the digital implementation, at least. I know I did play that on stream. Yep. Yeah, the app for this is pretty solid. I would like to do like one of these days. It'd be fun to do like a community stream or something where everybody plays Scythe or one of these other games, and we all kind of hang out and play the game together. I think that'd be a good time. I was looking at Tabletopia the other day. Nice. Yeah, I like Tabletopia. I tend to lean more towards that than Tabletop Simulator. Possibly another game of this next week, actually. Yeah. Yeah, Locke, you should. I could see you liking this one. I believe this would be one that you like. I'm actually surprised you haven't played it yet. Scythe is, so you got the big mechs, right? You're moving these big mechs and big. Played Scythe once. I would play it more. It's really, I like the action selection is pretty neat in that you're moving your action selection pawn from one section of your player board to another, and that section tells you what you can do. You can't do the same thing twice unless you're a specific faction. And so it's all about how do I build up the resources and then take actions so that I can try to get the most done on my turn. And each section has a top action and a bottom action. So you're going to be trying to make sure that ideally you'll be able to do both on your turn, right? The more if you can do both, then you're better set to kind of start building up your resources so that you can pump out more mechs, pump out more people, make more money, all that kind of stuff. I have a game on Tabletopia. Is G the name of the game? Ruckus, I'll have to check that out. I'm always interested in checking out new stuff. I like playing new games from folks, so I will definitely look into that. Let's see what else to say about Scythe. I feel like everything's been said about this one already. I feel like most people know Scythe at this point. It's a mod for the green box of games called the Golden Pyramid, a 3D tile layer. Interesting. Okay. Green box of games called the Golden Pyramid. Okay, I'll look into that. That sounds interesting. Number 22 is Project Elite. Generally speaking, I don't like real-time games. This might be the only one that I really love. This game is, you've got hordes of aliens swarming your base, and you've got your troops out on the map, and you are rolling dice as frantically as possible, trying to blow these aliens off the map. And it's a 2-minute timer, and it has very intense music, and you are panicking the entire time. And it's one of the more intense gaming experiences that I've had. Now, I have played this one on stream as well. This is one that my son joined me for. We played this one a while back, and that was, real time can be stressful. It really can. And like I said, generally I don't care for real time games, but for this one, because it's a 2-minute timer, I think that helps. That seems to it gives you a minute to kind of calm back down, right? You go through your 2-minute timer, and then, that timer stops. You get a minute. You kind of decompress for a second, talk strategy. Okay, these guys are swarming this way. You need to head over there so that I can go do this other thing. You get kind of that minute to kind of set back up again, and then it's like, okay, you ready? Okay, go. And then you're just rolling dice like as quickly as possible. Definitely stress sweating just thinking about it. Yeah. But it's so good. Like, there are very few games that I would describe as exciting games, but Project Elite is definitely an exciting game. Project Elite new to the top 40. Yeah, I figured this one would be. And if it comes with sound files like Red Alert, yeah, it can. Yeah, for sure. What was Fuse? Mixing it with some sort of puzzle aspect, that stressed me out oddly more than the fate of the universe with these aliens invading the planet, I guess. I sold my copy of Fuse, and I sold my copy of. Oh, maybe I didn't sell my copy of Escape the Curse of the Temple. I can't remember now. It might be in the. It may be in the to sell pile, but this one is. It's not as stressful. It's exciting. You're searching, you're gearing up. I mean, if it may be the closest to a video game that I feel like I've got that kind of feeling from a board game. Way better than Escape? Yes, way better than Escape. I liked Escape. I thought Escape was a really fun game. We taught that to my in-laws pretty early on, and we had a blast just playing it back to back. But now that I have this, I don't think I'd. It'd have to be a really good real-time game to top this one for me. I was really excited when Command brought this one back. All right, moving on to number 21, Viticulture, another Stonemaier game. This is one that I have a hard time This is another one that I have a hard time putting into words exactly why I like this one. The card play is good. Missed 2 of the pictures so far. Oh no. It'll be up in the VOD after the stream, and it'll be up on the YouTube channel as well. So you'll be able to catch it all, I'm sure. Viticulture is one that I have a hard time really pinpointing what it is that I like about this game. I like the card play. I like the worker placement. I like the fact that you have the grande worker that you can place anywhere. I like the fact that it's a race game, essentially. You're trying to be the first one to get to that. You're trying to get to that 20 points. Because you want to own a vineyard, it's easy to fall into that dream. That is true. I would like to own a vineyard. Hey, Carl. Well, I can tell you right now, just for a spoiler, Tapestry is not on the list. I know that's going to come as a shock to you. I like Stonemaier games. I like quite a few of their games. I think it's just if it's a cozy game. I guess it can be pretty cutthroat, but for some reason it doesn't feel that way. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I don't get, even when it's a cutthroat game of Viticulture, it does not feel as head to head or as cutthroat as some of the other ones. Out of the games I seen, I own 4 that I played. You'll have to let me know which 4, Legends. All right, number 20. Terra Mystica. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that this one is up as high as it is. Co-op expansion is really nice too. Yes, we do have. So we have Viticulture World. I have not had a chance to play with that yet, but I am looking forward to trying that one out. I'm not exactly sure why Terra Mystica ended up so much higher up than Gaia Project, because they're essentially the same game. They're very similar. The only thing I can think of is that I probably I played this one much more recently compared to Gaia Project. That's the only reason I can think of that this one would be higher, and especially this much higher. Bridge to Terra Mystica? I'm not sure I get that reference. I did not expect this one. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of surprised me. New to the top 70, up from 71. Or new to the top 40, up from 71. Huh. Oh, okay. Yeah. I got that. Okay, I got you now. Guy Lars is here to derail. Yeah, I think if I were to have manipulated anything from this Pub Meeple ranking, this might have been the game to do it. This one I probably should have. Either I should have brought Gaia Project up to this one, or I should have put this one back down to Gaia Project. And I'm not quite sure which it would have been yet. I think I probably would have brought Gaia Project up to this one, up to 20. We all have our strengths. Mine will be called Brig in a Blanket. That's excellent. I actually love that. These are these your Sea of Thieves ship names? I don't even remember the last time I logged on to Sea of Thieves. But yeah, I mean, Terra Mystica, very much the same as Gaia Project. Building out onto this map, you are terraforming the land so that you can build your particular buildings onto it. As you build out more buildings, you get more powers and moving up tracks. It's a lot of cube pushing, but I like the puzzle of it, and I like the different racial abilities that you have on the different character sheets. I may have to play Sea of Thieves in order to do that, though. Yeah, that's the tricky part, right? Yeah, I can't remember the last. I mean, the last time I would have played Sea of Thieves would have been with Orn and Kylaris. So it's been a minute. All right, moving on. Number 19, Champions of Midgard. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, Legends knows these games. Legends knows his stuff for sure. Locke, we'll get you up to speed. Believe me. So 19 Champions of Midgard. You know, this is one I liked the original game, but when the Valhalla and Dark Mountains expansion came out, I really fell in love with this game. So I started out playing, like I played Lords of Waterdeep for a long time, but this one kind of takes that, and instead of just gathering up cubes, you're actually gathering up dice that are going to allow you to actually go do those battles that you're supposed to be building up for. And if anybody knows me, they know that I tend to not have very good luck with rolling dice. But with the Valhalla expansion, there are times where it is advantageous to have your Vikings die, because then you can take those Vikings and use them to get you, better abilities, better equipment, better dice, all that kind of stuff. It felt like it so changed the game. Yeah, I'm sure it's news to you. So, Kylaris, Selfish Lock, and Orin are all part of our D&D group, and they're well aware of my inability to roll dice successfully. Valhalla really makes this one. It really does. The thing is, like I said, I liked Champions of Midgard. I don't think it would be up this high, though, without Valhalla. Legends says I usually play over or around 100 different board games each year. Yeah, Legends does a lot of challenges where he will play, like you did, like an alphabet challenge not that long ago, right? Right, Legends, where you were playing through one game for each letter of the alphabet or something to that effect. Seriously, can we play some D&D soon, even if it's just once in a while? Yeah. Yeah, let's. I miss it. I miss it a lot. It's been too long. I did hear from my buddy saying that he just got his Delta Green books in, so I'm excited for that too. Yeah, so Champions of Midgard, you're collecting these dice. You're rolling the dice to attack the monsters on these cards, and you're gathering those up to create sets for points. 80 different games this year so far. Wow, that's a lot of games, Legends. That's a lot of games. All right, number 18, another Feld. Amerigo. This one I don't hear talked about all that often when people are discussing Feld games, but this one is really one of my favorite, obviously, Felds. Let's see. Let's have Clay roll a d20 to decide if we play. 20 is more likely. I miss it so much. Too many laughs. That's true. Yeah. Feld number 3. Yep, Amerigo. So Amerigo, you are sailing your little ship around these multiple islands, and basically you're trying to spread out, take control of these islands, gather up goods that you can ship back to the mainland for points, essentially. I mean, points on points, all points, just nothing but points. The cube tower right up here, though, is how you're going to do that. So you're going to be dropping cubes into that cube tower, and depending on the color cubes that come out, that's going to determine which actions are available to you that round and how powerful that action is going to be. It's too bad. This game is great and should be talked about more. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think this is, like I said, this is one of my favorite Felds. I'm not sure why it doesn't get talked about as much. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why folks would not like. I've heard some complaints about the cube tower, I guess, that some folks feel it's too random. But the odd thing is I don't hear that so much about Castles of Burgundy, which is just about rolling 2 dice. I mean, it's it's all about, yes, there is a randomness involved. What are you going to do about it? That's what I love about Feld games. He's very good at that, right? He takes he he puts you in this difficult situation. Oh shoot, I didn't roll what I needed to roll. Now how am I going to pivot? What am I going to do? That to me is what makes a Feld game so interesting. So that yeah, this and I agree. This one should be talked about more. This one is it's high up there for Felds. I won't say any more than that. Pivot. You had me at ships. Yeah. Interesting that you can fight against the dice. Fight against the dice. So there are no dice in Amerigo. Just the cubes. So that cube tower there, you're gonna drop them in. Some of them are gonna get stuck. Some of them are gonna dislodge. Some of them are gonna roll right out the bottom. And depending on which colors come out, that's gonna tell you which actions are available, and then whichever one of them the most come out of, that's how powerful that action is gonna be. I think the cube tower needs to be used more often too, to be honest. You mentioned Feld and dice. I guess I missed the cube talk. Yeah, I mean he does a very similar thing with dice also. All right, number 17 is Grand Austria Hotel. This is another dice drafting game where you're going to be rolling dice. Those dice are going to be assigned to an action. And then, depending on the number of dice that are rolled and assigned to that action, that's going to determine how powerful of an action you can take there. Basically, you're running a hotel and you're trying to get guests into the rooms. This one just recently had an expansion come out on Kickstarter called... Is it Let's Waltz? I think it's Let's Waltz. I feel like I always call it the wrong thing. But I think it's Let's Waltz. I wonder if Becky would like this one. Maybe. I mean, I guess I do not know enough about her gaming tastes. Let's Waltz? Okay. Thanks, Clyde. Yeah, I thought that was right, but I had a stream... or a video that I had made a while back, and I kept calling it the wrong thing, and so I think I always second guess myself now. Everyone should like this one. It's awesome. Yeah, this is one of Jen's favorite games. This is one that she consistently whoops my butt at. But that's all right. This is one that I don't mind playing, even though I consistently lose this one. The dice are so mean to me in this one. Me too, Clyde. Yes, dice are mean to me in general, but I don't even know if it's that necessarily for me. I don't know if just I struggle with finding the efficiencies in this one. Maybe. Because I don't play this game well, but I can recognize that this is a very good game. If Becky wasn't dealing with a cold, I was going to make her play Happy City finally. We also have a few others from Gen Con to play yet. Your gameplay is a little dicey. Selfish Lock, there is so we played Wonderland's War at Gen Con, and it looks like they may be putting that might be coming back to Kickstarter with, I believe, an expansion. I believe that was what it was. So I don't know, maybe something Maybe something to look into. I thought that was a very good game, by the way. Wonderland's War, yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. I did not know if I was going to like that one. I ended up liking that one more than I thought I was going to. So that was a happy surprise. We have games from Gen Con 2021 we still haven't played yet. That is true. Yeah, that is true. There's now a me-shaped hole in our dining room wall. Well, it's not on Kickstarter yet. You could probably wait a minute. Number 16 is A Feast for Odin. Speaking of Uwe games, Locke, I know you were mentioning him earlier. This is one of the higher rated Uves for me. This one is a worker placement game where there are just a ridiculous number of spaces that you can send your workers to. You name it, there's a spot for it on that board. Oh no, you got sick right when you got home from Gen Con? Oh no. You guys ended up with a con crud? Oh yeah! Yeah. Locke's running out like the Kool-Aid man. So Feast for Odin with its tons of worker placement spots is really interesting, especially in that you have a limited number of workers that you can send out, and each row of actions is basically kind of just a more powerful version of a similar action. So, if you want to take a lesser one, you can put only one worker on there. That's fine. But if you want to take the more powerful one, you may have to put 3 or 4 guys on there. And, it's all about managing. If I use these workers for this, will I have enough left to do this other thing that I need to do? That on top of the whole patchwork mechanism where you are trying to slot in little Tetris-shaped pieces into your player board to cover up negative spots. It's got a lot of interesting things going on and a lot of different paths you can take. I think that might be kind of one of my favorite things. I am definitely, when it comes to games, I am definitely a dabbler. I like to try multiple different strategies. I have the sound on now for a small break. Excellent. Welcome back, Legends. Yeah, so like I'm very much a dabbler when it comes to games. I'm less, especially with a first play, I'm less worried about winning the game and more worried about wanting to try all of the different little things that game has to offer. You dabble too? Yeah. And Feast for Odin is great for that because there are so many different routes that you can take. You could play that, just over and over again and still find something new, some new thing to try, I think. This is another one that I think I would like to try to solo at some point. Feast for Odin is great. Carl's favorite Uwe. Are you a dabbler too, Legends? Yeah, I mean, that's what I enjoy about games is seeing all of the different unique mechanisms, and if there's a bunch of different things for me to try, I'm gonna want to try them all. Like a Pokemon, gotta catch them all. Yep, gotta catch all those mechanisms. Okay, number 15, Concordia. This is one of the most streamlined games that I think I've ever played. the rule book is like one sheet of paper, front and back, and that's it. But within that, pretty loose framework, there are so many just interesting decisions that you have to make. I still have Monster of the Week on my mind. Oh, Locke, I still got to check that out yet. That I still have to see that. I just got the game Ooblets on Switch. Got to catch them all because they all come with 3 cards for a deck builder in the video game. Oh, cool. I don't have a Switch, but otherwise I'd be trying that too. I heard about that game. Don't know anything about it yet. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that one. I think at this point I've pretty much made a full on switch from any console to PC gaming at this point. Orin corrupted me. We'll say that. I used to be strictly a console gamer, and now it's PC or tabletop. That's it. Concordia is interesting in that you are playing down cards, and each card that you play down is going to stay down until you play a certain card that's going to allow you to pick all those cards back up again. But at different points throughout the game, you're also going to be able to buy new cards, which are going to go into your hand, that you can then play. And so as you're playing these cards, you're getting better and better actions. And not only are they giving you better actions, but each card that you get is going to improve your ability to score certain objectives. So those cards are not only going to help you kind of move around the map and build trading houses and all that kind of stuff, but it's also going to improve your ability to score. Can't go wrong with Concordia smooth game. It is. That's a great way to explain it. It's a smooth game. It's very streamlined. There's not a lot of there's not much there. It's another one of those games where the game kind of gets out of the way. They give you the framework, and then the decisions are based on what other players are doing. Which I tend to enjoy. Good vibes. All right, number 14. Now this one I did combine. I had a hard time kind of separating these two in my mind, so I just decided that these two were going to live in the same spot. Always wanted to try Concordia Legends. Especially if you like mid-weight Euros, Concordia is fantastic. So Marco Polo and Marco Polo 2, or Voyages of Marco Polo, and Marco Polo 2 Electric Boogaloo. These two are very similar games. Marco Polo is awesome. Marco Polo is great. I agree. They are very similar. In that, when I was trying to think of which one was which, I was having a hard time separating them in my memory. Was this one this, or was this one? I could barely tell the two apart in my memory. But this is a game where, again, it's you're rolling dice and placing those dice out to take different actions. But the unique thing in this game are the character powers that you're going to get. You're going to get some pretty wild character powers that are going to... Yeah, each person has a special ability and they are so good. Yes, exactly. And it's so... Like, I love games that give you that, right? I love games that that make me feel very different from everybody else at the table. And how do I use that to my advantage, right? Trying to figure out, okay, I have a character that's really good at this. What does that mean for me in this game? Trying to puzzle that out. is so satisfying. Basically, with this, you're moving around this map on the board. You're setting up trading houses, completing contracts, and making your way overland to China. And yeah, it's so good. The character powers are just so interesting. And I love the fact that now with the two of them out there, you got so many options. This is definitely one that I've been itching to play again soon. Number 13 is Arc Nova. Best part is taking your turn, then your opponent goes, and you're like, you can do that? Yeah. We had that conversation will come. I think that usually the words are, "Wait, why can you do that?" Wait, why were you just doing that? Oh, because that's what my character does. Your character does what? It's great. I love it. I love that. Number 13 is Arc Nova. I know this one's new to the list. I was curious if this one was even going to make it up into my top 10 this year. I think the length of it is what keeps it out of the top 10. Yeah, Arc Nova, new to the list. Obviously. Yep, this one is new to the list. And like I said, if it weren't such a long game at the higher player counts, I think it would be even higher. I think that the length of it at the higher player counts is what keeps it at just outside of the top 10. Legend says I played Arc Nova and really enjoyed it. Yeah, and we just played it again this last weekend at Grand Con. It has a lot of the same mechanisms from some other games that I really enjoy. So it's got the dual point tracks that you're trying to get to meet in the middle, kind of like Rajas of the Ganges that we talked about earlier. And it's got this card row mechanism that is very similar to a game called Civilization: A New Dawn, where you're going to have 5 cards out in a row in front of you, and each one of those is going to let you do something. But depending on the card's location in that row, that's going to determine how strong of an action you can take. So if it's in the number 1 position, it's going to be a pretty weak action. But if you let that work its way up to the 5th position, then you're going to take the strongest version of that action that you can take. And then whenever you take that ability, you then move that card down to the number 1 slot and shift everything else up. So everything's going to be kind of cycling through, and you're trying to kind of manage this row of cards so that you can do the thing you want to do at the right power at the right time. I like the theme, right? We were talking about unique themes earlier too. Building a zoo is a great theme. I love the theme. I like the fact that not only with those multiple tracks, those dual tracks, you're trying to not only manage your park's popularity, but also its conservation projects, right? You in order to do well, you need to complete these conservation projects that are going to let you move up this green track. That green track helps move you along a little bit faster. So yeah, just multiple really interesting concepts going on here. Like I said, a lot of things taken from other games that I've enjoyed. It could climb up a little bit higher. I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of settles in this region, though, unless something changes about the player time, like the time per player. I am excited to check out the new expansion for it, though. I'm really looking forward to the the aquarium expansion that's coming out for it. So looking forward to that for sure. Number 12, War of the Ring. This one is Jen's number 1 according to her last list. This is one that we definitely don't play as often as we would like because it's such a big complex game. You'd try this, you'd try War of the Ring, or you'd try Ark Nova. Which one would you try, Locke? Probably either one, I'm assuming. War of the Ring is, I mean, this is the Lord of the Rings trilogy in a board game. You're moving across a map of Middle-earth. One player is playing the Free Peoples, one player is playing the Shadow Armies. Shadow Armies are trying to basically complete like military victories all over the board or corrupt the ring bearer. The Free Peoples are trying to basically just desperately hold on in these fortresses and hope that the ring bearer can make it to Mount Doom and toss the ring in to win the game. It's so thematic. Every card is a nod to something from the books. It's epic. I can't think of a better word to describe it than that. We've talked about streaming this one, although it would be a bear to set up for a stream for this one. But one of these days I would love to do a Lord of the Rings day and stream War of the Ring. Yes, Ride for Ruin. New to the top 40. It may have dropped off over the last couple of years, but there was a point where this was up in my top 10. I don't want to talk about my strategy or call attention to my moves. That's true. That would be kind of hard to stream, right? Because usually when we're streaming, we're talking about why we're doing certain things. You probably wouldn't want to telegraph too much what you're up to. That would be a fun theme for someone like me to follow because I don't know about board games, but I know Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, that would give you something some sort of IP that you could kind of follow along with. At least you get some of the references and things. That's a good point. All right, number 11 is Yokohama. If I remember right, I think Yokohama was my number 10 last year. But I still love this game. We talked about Istanbul a while ago. This one has a very similar mechanism in that you are kind of creating a route that you are going to send your person along to end up on these different tiles that are going to let you do different things. You're completing contracts and gaining points. We did get the deluxeified version of this one from TMG, and I think for me this one it's about the route building, very similar to, like I said, Istanbul. I like trying to find those efficient routes to get from, okay, I need to get from here to here, and then here to here, and then back to here so that I can do a better version of this thing. You remembered right, number 10 last year. Oh, good. I thought that was right, but I couldn't remember for sure. My memory's still intact. Yeah, that hasn't gone with age yet. Okay, moving on to the top 10. Now this one, I think There might have been some movement, but I don't know that there's a whole lot new in the top 10. Number 10 is Trajan. Another Stefan Feld. Just remember, I'm older. Not by that much. That barely counts. Trajan, another Feld. This one is probably one of the drier Felds. But what I love about this one is this Mancala. How am I friends with you geezers? Ouch. Feld number 4. Yep. Yeah. So this one you're using a Mancala mechanism. You're picking up all of those little tokens in the bowls on your player board and moving them around, and whichever one you land in, that's going to determine which action you take. And if you can get the right combination, you may get some bonus action also. Technically, Oren is next. Yeah, I don't think Oren's too far behind me, if I remember right. He was only a few months behind me, right? Well, there's only a few more months left in the year, so I guess that kind of checks out, doesn't it? Oh, that's how time works. Beautiful Browns. Yeah, this one is another very beige game. You know, it's funny. We talked at the beginning about how I like the deluxe versions of stuff. This is another one. There's nothing deluxe going on here, but the game is so good. The game it's very, very puzzly. It burns my brain in just the right way. Yeah. This is one that I would like to see get a new version. You know, they did the deluxe Castles of Burgundy not that long ago. I would like to see a new version of this come out. A nice simmery brain burn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it doesn't hurt, but it makes you think. So you're doing like one of multiple different things trying to get points here in this one. You might be up in Northern Europe with your centurions, fighting battles and stuff, trying to gain points that way. You might be building the city of Rome for points that way. You might be shipping off goods for trade and getting points that way. You might be in the Senate trying to pass laws that are going to give you bonus points for certain things. Just so many different choices, so many different things that you can do in this game. Again, great game for a dabbler. If you're into trying a bunch of different stuff, you can do that in this one for sure. I am the Senate. Number 9, Kemet. Blood and Sand. So, I don't know. Maybe this is a bit of a cheat. I haven't played Kemet Blood and Sand yet. I have Kemet Blood and Sand now, but I've played Kemet a fair amount. But I would have a hard time believing that this would knock down any farther. I put this copy because this is the copy that I own now. Because I sold on my original copy when we got this one. But this is a troops on a map game where you are trying to control certain areas. And if you control certain areas at the right time, you're going to score some points. Kemet new to the top 10 this year. This one we've played a few times that have really stuck out to me. That play that we had with Carl, Jen, and Jeff recently, not that recently, but I had so much fun in that game. And it's one that you are building out like this tech tree, basically. You are going to, number 28. So it wasn't that far down. You're building up like all these different technologies. You're putting out all these different tiles that are going to give you special abilities. So again, one of the things that I like about games is if I start off the same as everybody else, but then by the end of the game, I have all these unique special powers that nobody else can do. That just feels really good to me. That's one of my favorite things in games, is having that sense of kind of progression, and that feeling of I started here, now look what I can do. And Comet with the technology tiles definitely lets you do that. And this new version looks gorgeous. I mean, the old version looked really good too. But the new version with the new monster miniatures, I mean, come on, they look great. I can't wait to get this one to the table again. Actually, I may have to put Blood and Sand on the list for our game weekend next weekend, just because I would really like to get this one played. Again, I'm curious what the difference is with Blood and Sand, as if there's any major gameplay differences. But if it's anything like the original, I'm going to be happy. All right. Number 8. Clans of Caledonia. Do it. Put it on the list. Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't mind. I know that's one that Jen really likes too. So Clans of Caledonia, this is almost like the third in that line of Gaia Project, Terra Mystica, and now Clans of Caledonia. Has a very similar feel, but I like a lot of what this one does. So this one, Clans of Caledonia, has some very unique scoring things to consider at the end of the game. There's this whole concept of shipping lanes that you need to consider when you are building out your different areas on the board. But one of my favorite things about this one is that it has the market manipulation board. So, if I sell cheese is going to get cheaper. If I buy cheese is going to get more expensive. And there's a board off to the side that helps you keep track of that. And I really enjoy games that kind of do that. On the later end, something like Raccoon Tycoon does something very similar, or Lizard Wizard now. But this one does it in kind of that crunchy Euro game style game that I really like. It has a very similar thing to Terra Mystica and Gaia Project, in that as you're building stuff and putting stuff out on the board, you're going to start unlocking income that you're going to get each round. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to start with as a specific Scottish clan, and each one of those clans is going to have a unique ability that you're going to be able to do throughout the game. This actually is another one that has a very good solo mode, and it does not have too much of a setup that I would not play this one solo. I think this one has just the right amount of setup for me that it's still within that realm of reasonable setup time to playing it by myself. Hey, community challenge 95% complete. Almost there. For anybody that might be watching that does not know, I've got a community challenge going on right now where if we meet that challenge, I'm going to set a date to run through my entire board game collection, talking just a little bit about each game and kind of letting you know a little bit about each one and where we got it, how long we've had it, stuff like that, whether we've played it or not. Some of them we haven't. This is one that's been going on for a little while, but if you're interested in seeing that, check that out. Okay, number. Whew. All right, I need a drink. Actually, you know what? I need some of my shake. 40's a long list, guys. Okay. All right, number 7, Twilight Imperium 4. I never played TI 3. It was one that I was always interested in, but at that point, I was always a little intimidated by it. And by the time I got to the point where I felt comfortable with the more complex games, TI4 had come out. And I think it just kind of happened to work out at just the right time that I felt ready to try a complex game like TI. And they put out kind of a more streamlined version of the game. And I can say that I have never had as interesting an experience in playing a game as I have had playing Twilight Imperium. So much of this game happens above the table. There's the negotiation, there's the intimidation. It's such an epic game, yeah. I think Shut Up and Sit Down might have put it best when they said that Twilight Imperium is kind of like Star Wars if everybody played the Empire. That's definitely kind of how it feels. And each of the races has such a unique play style that you're if you play through all of them, it's never going to feel like you're playing the same race. Like, no two races feel similar to each other. At least not in my experience. I don't think I've ever played one where I felt, oh, that kind of felt like I was playing these guys again. Well, that sounds diabolical, like me. Yeah, you might like it, Allie. That might be one you'd enjoy. The only issue is this is also a game that takes probably about 6 to 8 hours to play. When we play this game, that is what we're doing that day. Like, there's no making other plans or anything. Today is Twilight Imperium Day. We're gonna get food, we're gonna have drinks, we're gonna sit around a big table, and we're gonna yell at each other for 8 hours, and it's great. I was saying, we set up another game of this for sometime in October, which I'm really excited about. But I was telling one of our friends that one of my most vivid experiences of playing this game, I was negotiating with him, and I said, hey, I will give you this thing if you leave this area. And he said, yep, okay, no problem. So he took the trade goods, and then he moved out of that area but into my sector, and he attacked me after I had just given him some trade goods. And in the moment, I was really angry. But looking back on it, I'm like, that is exactly why I like this game. Because, the stories that you end up telling at the end of a game of Twilight Imperium are unlike stories that you're going to be telling from any other game. It's an investment. It's a big investment of time. It's an investment in trying to learn and understand the rules, but it's so incredible. Like I wish I had I had the capacity to actually like write down turn for turn what is happening in a game in like a thematic sense, so that folks could read that. And I think if you were to read something like that, you would see exactly why it's so exciting when you're all sitting around a table and seeing Jen's attacking Carl's home planet. She just blew the last of his people off of that planet, and now he's it's amazing. I can't wait to play it again, and I'm looking forward to the game night that we have coming up for it. Like your D&D note taking, yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah. I need something like that. Yeah, so that's TI4. Number 6 is Glass Road. This one's been in my top 10 for quite a while now. This is my favorite Uwe game. Yeah, like Alderaan. Yeah, pretty much. Glass Road is my favorite Uwe game. We're glassmakers in Germany, and basically we're building up our own little player boards. Love this one. We need to play it again. It's been a while. There are two unique mechanisms in this game that I enjoy. One is the card play, in that if I play a certain character, glassmaking sold. We'll try this one too. Add it to the list. The card play, you play a card, but if anybody else has chosen for that round to play the same card as you, they're going to play that down now too. So, hey, Mongoose, what is happening? Welcome. How was your day? Mongoose, we are counting down my 40 favorite games of all time. You made it in time for at least the top 6. Those are the important ones anyway, right? So not only do we have the card play in that's unique in this one, but we also have what I have in the photo up here. That's the resource wheel. So as you generate resources, you're going to move them around on the little sections of this wheel. But if you're looking at the one right here, as soon as that player moves that sand token, that yellow token, it's going to automatically move and generate another glass for them, which means that it's going to automatically reduce the number of resources on the other side of that wheel. So sometimes you have to kind of strategically stall your resource production so that you produce exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. And to me, that is what makes this game so interesting, is trying to time that out just right so that I can create this thing that I need when I need it. This one, I believe this one's been put back out by Capstone, so I think this one's been made available again. Mongoose, this is Glass Road. This is Glass Road from Uwe Rosenberg. This is an older one. Ah, thank you, Locke. Yeah, Locke's been good about keeping up with the links. So if you guys have any, are curious about any of the games that I'm talking about, and you want to learn more about them, hit those links. That'll take you right to the BGG page. Yeah, these ones are. This game is. This one's been. Boy, is this one of the ones that's been on my top 10 list the longest? There might be one other game that's been on as long as this one has. I think there might be one other game that's been on as long as Glass Road has, but outside of that, this is one of my longest running games in my top 10. All right, number 5, Glenmore 2 Chronicles. So Glenmore was originally in my top 10 also, but Glenmore 2 Chronicles basically just took Glenmore and just added more. This has the mechanism that I really like, where you are moving around the board to select tiles. You can move as far as you'd like, but the player in last position is always going to be the one to go first. So, you could jump way ahead to grab that tile that you want, but you might be waiting a while before you're going to get another one. That can be kind of advantageous, because at the end of the game, you're going to lose points if your area is too much bigger than everybody else's, if you have too many tiles. But what you're trying to do is grab these tiles and put them next to other tiles that you've drafted. And each time you lay down a new tile, it's going to activate that tile and all of the tiles surrounding it. So you're going to get multiple activations of each tile each time you put a new one down. So you're generating resources, you're collecting special locations like Loch Ness and some of the castles and things from the Scottish Highlands. And now with the Chronicles version, they've added the map of Scotland that you can move around as well, moving around to visit the different Scottish clans, and each one of those is going to give you a one-time bonus. Again, a lot of different things going on here. What's especially cool about the Chronicles is if you're worried about the game getting stale at all, there are so many... Nice, Lock. You rang. There are so many different... Hey, Geek Jock. Welcome in. Geek Jock, how are you doing today? Uh-oh. Where was I? Yep, it's gone. Never mind. How do I add a game to my wish list on BGG? I know I've done it before. You should just be able to, if you go to add to collection, I believe there's a way to do it that way. Good, enjoying the countdown. Thanks, Geek. Appreciate it. Have you played any of these or most of these? Was that it? Okay, phew, good. I knew it was something like that. I knew I had. I actually need to go through and update my wish list quite a bit, because I think at this point, so many of mine have kind of either I've bought them or I've played them and decided not to grab them or something. So I need to go through and clean up my wish list. Wasn't sure if that would add it to games I own specifically. There are options for pressing the button. Yeah, you click it and then it'll kind of give you the option to, do I want to add it to a wish list or, yep. Oh, Glenmore 2, that's what I was going to talk about, was the fact that there are the Chronicles. Each one is a bunch of different boxes that come with different rule sets that change the game up just a little bit. None of them change them super significantly. It still feels like Glenmore, but it definitely has a lot of just unique twists. I played many of them. Glass Road is a solid pick. Nice. Underrated for sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's definitely underrated. Not happy the app just disappeared off the store. I don't think it's been restored, if ever. Oh, really? I've never tried the app. I haven't tried that yet. Sounds like maybe I won't get the chance to. I wonder what happened to it. All right, number 4, Dungeon Pets. This game is both gross and sweet at the same time. It was a while ago, iPad only, and I don't think it's around anymore. That's a shame. I would have grabbed that if I had seen it. Dungeon Pets is a game where you're sending out your little imp workers. Basically, you're bidding for turn order, and depending on the number of imps and gold that you put in a certain spot, you're going to be taking turns in that order, going out to go. I love my disgusting little pets. Yeah. You're going to be sending them out to do things like buy pets, gather food, enter them into shows, things like that. And then at the end of the round, they're going to have certain needs that have to be taken care of. It's a much crunchier game than it looks. It looks pretty cutesy, and I mean it is. It is like the little pets in this are adorable. They all come on these little, implying that Clay is one of your minions. I maybe that would probably check out. Vlada quite possibly in my top 10 designers. Nice. Yeah. I really haven't played a lot of different games by him, but the ones that I've played, I've liked so far. But Dungeon Pets is by far one of my favorite. I just picked up, finally had a chance to pick up Galaxy Trucker at Gen Con this year. Didn't see the whole list. Did I have Dungeon Lords earlier? I actually have not played Dungeon Lords. Did you like Dungeon Lords, Geek? I haven't tried it. But what I love about this one is the Galaxy Trucker is amazing. Good. Oh, good. I'm excited now. That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. It looks good. It looks like one of those ones that I think if you took it too seriously, it may not be as fun. But I think it's just one of those if you let it be what it is, I think it's one that'd be hard not to have a good time playing it. I was describing, so the pets for Dungeon Pets, they are all these little egg-shaped tokens that have little wheels on the bottom of them, and that's going to give you some idea of what that pet is going to need each round. And so as they grow, more and more sections of this wheel are going to get revealed, and you're going to kind of be able to see, this pet's going to have a lot of gonna need to eat a lot, or this pet's gonna be really angry, or this pet's gonna poop a lot. And so that kind of gives you some idea of what to plan for throughout the round. And then at the end of each of the rounds, you're going to be selling them off to these different buyers who are looking to buy your dungeon pets. Also, a great app for Trucker. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we got the board game this year. I found it in the consignment room at Gen Con this year. So I was able to pick it up for a pretty good deal. So I'm looking forward to trying that one out. Carl says excited to try this one again. Yeah. So Carl just picked it up with the what's it called, Dark Alleys expansion. So I'm curious to try that out and see and see what that one is. If Gus were in the game, he would have the poop a lot ability. Poor Gus. Calling him out in public like that. It's a good thing he's cute. Okay, number 3, The Castles of Burgundy. This is my favorite Feld game. Oh man, that was interesting timing, Selfish Live, because I just said this is my favorite Feld game, and then you immediately slapped a poop sticker on it. I don't know how I feel about that. Geek Jock, yeah, there have been quite a few Felds on this list. I am a big fan of Stefan Feld. So far we've talked about Bruges, Trajan, Amerigo. Castle Burgundy is so good, and Feld is my favorite designer. He's mine too. Yep. The number of games that he's designed that I like far outpaces any other designer. There are a lot of other designers that I really like. I like most Pfister games. Uwe games are great. Oh, Notre Dame. Yep, I forgot about Notre Dame. That image is from the deluxe version, for the record. That is correct. Bonfire is very good. Bonfire is a little bit farther down the list. So if you join the BCBG Discord, which I believe that Selfish Lock has thrown the link out for it earlier. But if you join the BCBG Discord, I will be posting an extended list of my favorite games going out to 100. I am certain that Bonfire is on there. Pfister has the same feel as well. Yeah. Yep, for sure. I'm looking forward to Sky Mines coming out. I played Mombasa a little while ago. Really good game, but really looking forward to Sky Mines. Just happy to see Castles of Burgundy go up a slot this year. Yeah, I mean it hovers, right? It hovers right around that. It's in the upper echelon. Really looking forward to this new upgraded version of Castles of Burgundy, though. They put out the deluxe version a few years back, but it looks like they just used a different color palette, and that was it. This looks like a much more deluxe version. I think this is the deluxe version that Castles of Burgundy deserves, in my opinion. So I'm super excited to get this one finally. This one I am not selling Castles of Burgundy, though, until I get my hands on the deluxe, because I don't want that one out of my collection. Plays excellent on Yucata and BGA as well. I don't think I've ever played it on either of those. Mongoose, if you have not had a chance to play Castles of Burgundy, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Yeah, it's so in this game you're going to roll 2 dice, and depending on what you roll, you're going to be either taking tiles from a main board, or you're going to be putting those tiles from your board into your little estate board there in the kind of in the center. And depending on which ones you put in, you're going to be getting points. You're going to be creating combos. That was the thing that blew my mind about this one, because this was one of the earlier kind of midweight Euros that I played. And when I realized the different combos that could be made here, that was really kind of when I fell in love with this style of game. Castles of Burgundy is a bear to teach, but amazing to play. Yeah. I mean, it can be a tough teach, especially for folks that may not be super familiar with some of the more complex board game concepts, I guess. But yeah, it's so good. This is one that's going to always kind of... I would be shocked if this ever left my top 5 even, honestly. All right, moving on to the number 2 is La Granja. Legends, you haven't played Castles of Burgundy yet. Oh, really? Oh, you should. That surprises me, just because of the number of games that you play. I would have thought for sure that you would have played Castles of Burgundy. That's surprising to me. So this here is another picture of the new deluxe master set for La Granja. This is not the... So I just sold my original copy of La Granja because this is on its way. But La Granja, that might not be the best picture, but basically there are... Speaking my language, dry soulless Euros are great. And again, La Granja plays well online at BGA. And another one getting deluxe version. Yep. Yeah, pseudo-feld. That's true. Yeah, this definitely has a pseudo-feld feel. Yeah, this one, Geek, I have played this one on BGA, and I agree. It plays really well on there. Again, multi-use cards. I love the multi-use cards in this game. When I take one of those cards, I can decide, am I going to use it as like farm upgrades, or am I going to use it as fields to grow crops in? Am I going to use it for the like assistant abilities in the center, or am I going to put it on the top and it's going to be a contract that I'm going to fulfill to send out stuff to that central board and kind of try and do a bit of an area control thing? So many unique things going on here, like the number of cards. I don't think I've ever played with the same kind of set of cards. This sounds like fun too. Did I stream this one? I want to say I streamed this one on BGA. I think I did a solo play of this on BGA. Mango says, I discovered BGA earlier this year. Super cool idea, but for some reason I feel weird jumping into board games with random strangers. As if that's not exactly what I do when I play online video games. That's true. That's a good point. I mean, that's pretty much what you're doing when you play right? If you jump into Fortnite, right, you're playing with a bunch of people you don't know. It's not much different. Um, yeah, yeah, but the BGA implementation is very good. Next 40 days, just play these 40 games. Legends got some homework for you. It works well if you have new friends around the country or world. I have 3 friends. We've played BGA and Yucata games with the same guys for 2 to 3 years now. Very cool. Yeah, that's true. You can play asynchronously, which is kind of handy too, right? If you're not able to do like real time turns, you can do it like just whenever they happen to have a chance to take their turn, and it'll notify you when it's your turn. They have something similar to that for Twilight Imperium also that we've talked about. Yeah, very excited for this new deluxe version of La Granja. This one is the original did not look super great. It was very I don't want, I mean, it wasn't that, it was beige-ish, but also very kind of yellowish beige. So it was not the best looking game. But this new board and dice version looks great. I'm very stoked for this. Played Catan and Splendor that way, both very poorly because I lose my focus. That's fair. That's fair. I do have a harder time focusing when it's a digital implementation than if we're playing in real life. Oh, really? I did not know that. Huh. Very cool, Geek Jock. What color should we make our board game? How about earwax? Yeah, that would be a good way to describe it. That's kind of the color that it looked like they went for. Yeah, not the prettiest game. At least the original. Now there is a roll and write version that I have not played yet, but I would like to try that out. But I haven't seen that one around in quite a while at this point. But let's use earwax from 3 different people to make it more interesting. Uh-oh. You guys are making Mongoose puke. Violently puking. All right. Looks like Selfish Lock is ready for number 1. I think at this point it probably shouldn't be too big of a surprise if you watched this last year, but my number 1 is Brass Birmingham. This game is La Granja Roll and Write is so. Oh, okay. You knew it. Yeah. Yeah. Shouldn't be a big surprise. Now, this one did look like a very dry Euro up until Roxley reprinted it. You were going to guess Chutes and Ladders? Wait till you see the 100 through 41. I think I played the other Brass. I own both. I own both of them. I like Brass Birmingham just a little bit more, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. Maybe I just had a better experience with it. But we've got the iron clays for it. So this is interesting in that you start off in the canal phase, so you're building up canals and building routes so that you can establish these industrial era manufacturing places. You're burning coal, you're using steel, and you're shipping them off for money. The turn order is based on whoever spent the least the round before. I was given Marvel Chutes and Ladders for Christmas by someone who doesn't play board games. Oh no. Yeah, we've had that happen a few times too, where, oh, you play board games? Here's this that I found somewhere. Yeah, some version of Chutes and Ladders or Monopoly or something, and it's kind of like, oh, thanks. I did not know there was a Marvel Chutes and Ladders either. Iron Clay. I was given Marvel Splendor by someone who likes board games but doesn't play them because she hates losing. Oh no. Mongoose, if you are looking for a good Marvel themed game, I've been playing Marvel Dice Throne quite a bit and really enjoying that. Yeah. So Brass Birmingham, this was my number one last year. It's my number one again today. Fun time, gotta hit the hay, but I'll hit you up on Discord or Twitter DM. Might need to have you on the Geek All Stars sometime. Always looking to get some fun new guests. Hey, shoot me a message. That sounds like fun. Marvel Legendary, another good pick, Locke. Thinking you could channel points to spin a move superheroes on Chutes and Ladders. There you go. That's a good idea. She also got me into Villainous, which is pretty interesting. Did you play the Disney Villainous, Mongoose, or did you play the Disney Villainous or Marvel Villainous? Nice stream, Clay. Off to bed for me too. Thanks for hanging out, Carl. Yeah, have a good night, Jock. Yes, Disney. Didn't realize there was a Marvel version. Yeah, there's a Marvel version. Actually, there's a Star Wars version of Villainous now, too. There's a Star Wars Villainous. It's got Darth Vader on the cover. All right. So, recap. I don't know how well you guys will be able to see that. And none of them work together? Yeah, that's kind of a shame. That would have been kind of cool, right? To have, like, yeah, Star Wars villains and Marvel villains all together. What I'm hoping to see, Star Wars Villainous, saw it recently. Yeah. So, like I said, we've been playing Marvel Dice Throne quite a bit. What I'm really hoping to see is them pick up some more IPs for that, because that would be a really cool game. I've not played a single game in your top 40. Well, Mongoose, when are you making a trip to West Michigan? You need to get over here. We'll play some. You can bring Gus Gus with you. You can play with my dog Maui. I'd like to try Unmatched at some point. Yeah, that is one that I would like to try soon too. I went the Funko-verse route and ended up with a lot of those. I would like to. Y'all would be fun to hang out with. Well, we try. Yeah, that'd be a blast. You've played 8. Very nice. Yeah, bring Legends with you. Legends, I'd still like to. One of these days, we need to end up at least at the same convention together or something, so we can sit down and get a game in. Unmatched has some Marvel expansions now. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Unmatched has a ton of different stuff. I'm really interested in the Cobble and Fog set with the kind of Victorian London feel to it. That one is one that I would be, I think, most interested in trying out. Venom coming soon. Venom's coming soon to which one, Clyde? Oh, you're talking about two Unmatched. Legends has played 11. Have I played Wingspan? I have played Wingspan. I like Wingspan a lot. I think Wingspan is a very good game. I don't I don't think it rated super high for me just because a lot of the things that Wingspan does, I have a lot of other games that I like a little bit better. But I think Wingspan is a very good game. That's one of your favorites. Yeah, I think that it's. I'm surprised that did not make it higher on the BGG list. You're also a bird nerd. Yeah, it's a really good game. I'm like I said, I'm shocked that it did not make it up farther on the BGG top 100. I thought for sure that was gonna at least crack the top 10. All right, I'm gonna get switched back over here out of the. I'm gonna get out of this little screen here. There we are. All right. Well, that was a long list. It's gonna keep getting longer every year, hopefully. maybe I should knock on wood. Yeah. So, let's see. I don't have any other streams planned for this week yet. We will see. I do have a game. We're doing a big game weekend here next weekend. I might see if I can try to get at least one more stream in this week at some point, but that's going to be kind of iffy. Again, with the way things are right now, stream schedule is a little up in the air. We're gonna try and start picking up the frequency at least, though. I will let everybody know once we've figured out when we're gonna do our community challenge collection tour. So I can make sure to let everybody know so you guys can stop in for that. And then also check out the BCBG Discord. I'm going to be putting this year's list and kind of a comparison to last year's list so you can see where everything kind of landed, how everything moved around. Happy birthday, Big 4-0. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we had a great weekend. I can't think of a better way to spend my birthday than at our local game convention. That was about perfect. It happened to be family day, so the kids were there with us. And we just hung out, played games all day. The girls went back home afterwards, and we went out for dinner and drinks and things after, and kind of got to celebrate that way since we had Monday off. It was a really nice weekend. I felt very lucky. Okay, well, I need to hit the hay as well. I'm starting to get pretty tired myself, so I'm going to call it a stream, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks to everybody who followed tonight. Thank you, Paula, for the raid. Really appreciate that. That's very, very appreciated. Um, and we will see everybody on the next one. Have a great night, everybody.